Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passion World Talk Radio Network, a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Educate, enlighten, entertain, mindfulness. And on today's episode of Lest We Forget Historical, we are going to dive into Section 10 of the first article of the Constitution. And you should know that people are responding to listening to their Constitution because, as the old saying goes, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And since our current administration is intent on becoming a full-fledged dictator, it's something for you to think about. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coined a tender and payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Something for you to think about when you receive a knighthood through Britain. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts of duties or imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. Here's a thought: if Congress gets controlled by the current president of the United States, what is it really saying? Something for you to think about. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. Food for thought. Current president sending military police, first in Washington, D.C., next in Chicago. He's planning an invasion of Massachusetts and other states that are run by the Democrats and considering them enemies of America. And with that, he's undermining the Constitution. Another food for thought. Article 2, Section 1. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, unless he considers himself a dictator, and together with the vice president chosen for the same term, be elected. Elected, E-L-E-C-T-E-D. It means that we people put him into office. Not his henchmen, not his minions, not his toadies. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and reps to which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or rep or person holding an office of trust or profit under the U.S. shall be appointed an elector. The elector should meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 people, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they should make a list of all the people voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit, sealed to the seat of the government of the U.S., directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, and the President of the Senate and House of Reps, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Reps shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person has a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in the like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the rep from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there shall remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. The Congress may determine the time of choosing, the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the U.S. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the U.S. at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who should not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a residence within the U.S. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability both of the president and vice president, declaring what office shall then act as president, and such officer should act accordingly until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Extra pay, folks. So what the current president is doing, earning all this extra money from cryptocurrency and his golf courses and everything else he has going for him, is patently against the law. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Another opinion, he hasn't done that. In fact, his disdain for the U.S. the U.S. Constitution is quite evident, so maybe he should be removed for office. Food for thought, because he's not preserving, protecting, or defending our Constitution of the United States. Section 2. The president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the U.S. and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the U.S. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal office in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he should have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with the advice and the consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur, and he should nominate and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the U.S. whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the president alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The president shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next section. Section 3. He shall from time to time give to Congress information of the state of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measure as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both House or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them, with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He should take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, robbery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 3, Section 1. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. And we will stop there and start on Section 2, Article 3, the next time we get together. So let me make a note of that. Article 3, Section 2, commence. So otherwise, one can get lost. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon and learning more about the Constitution. Lest we forget, Historical is brought to you by Conscious Research Solutions. Check us out at passionateworldtalkradio.com/research made simple blog. It tells you all about the pain points associated with research, really good research. And while you're there, why don't you sign up for a 10 to 15 minute free consultation and learn everything you possibly and want to know about research, also by Flipping Out, How to Train Your Human, a satire on how to learn artificial intelligence. So go over to the website, passionateworldtalkradio.com/epic envision XR, and you will see that you can download PDFs, first 10 chapters with more coming, and also how to learn how to write satire and nonfiction. And if you buy the book, when you buy the PDF, you will see what I am talking about. And check out passionateworldtalkradio.com/epic truths, where it will tell you you will need to pay first, and then you can download the PDF without any problem. You can either buy it individually or the whole enchilada. And if you want to keep on hearing what our hosts here at passionworldtalkradio.com have to say, parody and all, then please consider donating to an all-women owned and run /operated internet talk radio station, passionateworldtalkradio.com/donation. Thank you very much, and see you next week for another rendition of the U.S. Constitution.